Nara City, Nara Prefecture. There is an ancient temple here that is registered as a World Heritage Site. That is Yakushi-ji Temple. Nara City, Nara Prefecture, where Yakushi-ji Temple is located, is the site of Heijō-kyo, the capital that flourished as the heart of Japan over 1,300 years ago. There is a famous poem written about Nara at that time. The city of Nara, with its beautiful aoni, is prosperous, like the fragrance of blooming flowers. This song was written by a man named Ono no Oyu while he was working at Dazaifu in what is now Fukuoka Prefecture, and he was remembering the capital of Nara. Ao is what we would call green today. Ni corresponds to the modern color red. It allows us to imagine that the capital of Nara at that time was a beautiful place colored in green and red. The Yakushi-ji Temple that we can see today is also colored green and red. It makes us feel as if we have traveled back in time to the Nara period. However, there is one building that is a different color. That is the East Tower. This East Tower is the only one that remains from the original construction. Repairs were carried out until 2020. So why are all the buildings other than the East Tower newer? This is because they were burned down once during the Sengoku period. Yakushi-ji Temple was caught up in the battles of the Sengoku period and many of its buildings were burned down. After that, Yakushi-ji Temple was never able to be restored and fell into disrepair. At one point, when it rained, people had to use umbrellas even inside the hall. The reconstruction is still ongoing. For example, a previously existing quarter has only been partially restored. That way you can see the reconstruction. That said, Yakushi-ji Temple today is full of beautiful buildings. The success of Yakushi-ji Temple and its restoration can be attributed to the efforts of one particular person. His name is Koin Takada. He is a monk at Yakushi-ji Temple. He dedicated his life to restoring Yakushi-ji Temple, which was in ruins at the time. Yakushi-ji Temple still has no parishioners. Therefore, Yakushi-ji Temple cannot rely on donations from its parishioners to rebuild. This meant that it was difficult for Yakushi-ji Temple to raise funds for reconstruction. This is where Koin Takada came into action. Anyway, he seemed to be a good talker. His sermons became popular and he began to be requested to give sermons in various places. He traveled around the country, offering people the opportunity to try copying sutras, receiving 1,000 yen from each. He used the money he raised to rebuild Yakushi-ji Temple. The interesting stories and copying of sutras are still passed down to the present-day Yakushi-ji Temple. When you visit the site, you can listen to fascinating sermons from the monks and even copy sutras. So why was Yakushi-ji Temple founded in the first place? It dates back to the Asuka period. The emperor of Japan at that time was Emperor Tenmu. His wife, Empress Jita, fell ill. Emperor Tenmu wanted to build a temple in hopes of curing his wife's illness. This is Yakushi-ji Temple. However, Emperor Tenmu passed away before it was completed. This project, which Emperor Tenmu had been carrying out, was taken over by Empress Jita. Thus, Empress Jita took over the construction of Yakushi-ji Temple. Due to this history, the principal image of Yakushi-ji Temple is three Buddha figures known as the Yakushi Triad. As I said earlier, Yakushi-ji Temple is on fire. This Goon zone was once gold, but the gold melted during the fire and it is now shiny black. The Buddha in the middle is Yakushi Murai. It is a Buddha who cures illnesses. That is what we would call a doctor today. And on the right is Nikko Bazutu. On the left is Gakko Bosatsu. That's what we would call a nurse today. Why are there two nurses? As the kanji character for day suggests, Nikko Bodhisattva is a nurse who works the day shift. As the kanji character for moon suggests, Moonlight Bodhisattva is a nurse who works the night shift. Now, if you have been listening to my story so far and are familiar with history, you may be feeling a little strange about the location of Yakushi-ji Temple. Yakushi-ji Temple is located within Heijō-kyo. The capital city that Empress Jita, whom I mentioned earlier, built is called Fujiwara-kyo. Empress Jita is supposed to have completed Yakushi-ji Temple, but it is now located quite far away. There is a good reason for this. Yakushi-ji Temple was originally built in Fujiwara-kyo. It is said that it was later relocated when the Heijō-kyo was relocation to Heijō-kyo. In other words, what we can see today is Yakushi-ji Temple in its relocated location. By the way, the ruins still remain at the site before it was relocated. It's called Moto Yakushi-ji Temple. In fact, if you go there you can see the foundation stones from when the tower was built. You can see traces of those times there. The main hall is located to the north of the east and west towers. Behind it is the auditorium. The Yakushi-ji temple-style temple layout can be seen from around this time. Now, the existence of Yakushi-ji Temple and Moto Yakushi-ji Temple has sparked some controversy. There are the relocation theory and the non-relocation theory. What does that mean? The relocation theory states that the buildings and Buddhist statues that were in Fujiwara-kyo were moved as they were to Heijio-kyo. In contrast, the non-relocation theory holds that the Moto Yakushi-ji Temple in Fujiwara-kyo was left as it was, and a new one was built in Heijio-kyo. Many people would think it's fine either way, but they are very different. If the relocation theory is correct, the existing East Pagoda and Yakushi Triad would date to the Asuka period. In terms of culture, this means that things from Hakuho culture remain. On the other hand, in the case of the no relocation theory, the existing East Pagoda and Yakushi Triad statue date to the Nara period. In terms of culture, this means that there are remains of the Tenkyo culture. The cultural classification would change depending on whether Yakushi-ji Temple was relocated or not. I'm not in a position to say which is right. So if you're interested, check it out for yourself. This time I talked about Yakushi-ji Temple. This would probably come up as a cultural history question on university entrance exams. You can memorize it this way by linking it to various stories. Or maybe you should actually visit the place and it will stick in your memory. If you have the opportunity, please try listening to the monks' talks and copying sutras at Yakushi-ji Temple. In the next video I will talk about Fujiwara no Fuito. See you in the next video.